Hi, I'm Dr. Jim, a space scientist and a musician. Welcome to Space Quest, where we use stories and songs to learn about space with some special visitors from the future. It's always nice to see you both, Piper and Vista. Thank you for coming back from the future to visit me again.
You're very welcome, Dr. Jim.
We are always pleased to visit with you, Dr. Jim.
In this episode, we learn about how Tommy and Laura finally took their long-awaited trip to visit another star. They were going on a trip through space and time to find the origin of an alien radio signal sometime in the future. Even though the message came in the future, they would have to travel into the past to be there when the radio signal was first sent out. Do you think kids can go into space? Someday, there could be a girl named Laura and a boy named Tommy with their own spaceships and robot companions who come back from the future to learn how space exploration began. Here's a song about kids in space. Once we went into space to be part of a race so that people could walk on the moon. Many years have gone by, but again we will fly and return to the sky sometime soon. Can a girl fly through space to a planet? Could she pilot her spaceship and land it? Could she fly through the sky as the stars go by and bring home a space pomegranate? Many robots have flown to the greatest unknown and explored all the worlds of our sun. They have learned many things and gone through Saturn's rings, but there's so much that they haven't done. Can a boy fly through space in a rocket? Could he learn how to steer and to dock it? Could he fly through the sky as the stars go by and hold meteors in his pocket? You could learn to fly as the stars go by and reach for the endless sky. When the sun starts to sigh, many atoms will fly to be caught by the earth and remain. Glowing curtains of light will extend out of sight, painting colors that fall like the rain. Can the kids of the earth catch auroras? Could they have names like Tommy or Laura? Could they fly through the sky as the stars go by and hold northern lights in fedoras? You could learn to fly as the stars go by and reach for the endless sky. There's a world that's nearby with a red-colored sky and some others with ice all around. Some are big balls of gas where you'll never see grass since they don't really have any ground. Can the kids of the earth reach the heavens? Could they answer the biggest of questions? Could they fly through the sky as the stars go by and reach for new worlds as they beckon? Could they fly through the sky as the stars go by and reach for new worlds as they beckon? Let's see if we can learn anything more with our time-traveling friends from the future. Tommy and Laura, two young space explorers of the future, have been busy learning to fly and inventing new scientific principles and technologies that they would need to visit another star. They built a special ship for two that can travel through both space and time, hoping to find the origin of an alien radio signal.
Incoming time text from Tommy. Hello again, Dr. Jim. We've been traveling for a long time in anti-space to search for the alien star system. Things have been going well so far with our space-time ship, although we've had to make a few course corrections along the way. Tommy, over.
Incoming time text from Laura. We have been narrowing down the exact direction of the alien radio signal as we get closer to it. Fortunately, Vista has been quite helpful by tracking the movements of the stars so we can adjust our heading through the galaxy as needed. Laura, over.
Thank you, Piper and Vista, for relaying those time texts from Tommy and Laura. It must be incredible for them to be traveling through anti-space, where the stars and planets are made of antimatter and time flows backward from our point of view. Does it look different from normal space?
The stars and planets in anti-space look the same as in normal space, since the laws of physics are the same, except for the direction of time. Laura and Vista are able to navigate, as usual, while taking the time reversal into account.
Yes, Piper, and it is fortunate that you are able to adjust your sensors to work properly in reverse time as well. By taking this approach to all of our navigational calculations, we can create a consistent reference frame to use as we travel.
How interesting. The idea that physics works the same in anti-space is consistent with what we know about the normal universe. As we look at other distant galaxies, it appears that the chemistry of the stars and the function of gravity is the same everywhere.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Another very thoughtful observation, Conductor Arthur. If the laws of physics work in the same way in anti-space, can the motions of the anti-stars still be used to make course corrections? How could this translate into navigation in normal space?
The stars in anti-space are the same stars that we see in normal space, but they behave differently in time. From the space-time ship, they appear to move backwards and get younger as we observe them.
You're saying that the stars get younger as you watch? I guess that would make sense, since the goal of the trip is to reach an earlier point in time. The star catalogs that we use also keep track of the motions of the individual stars, so can they be used backwards as well?
That is a highly logical deduction, Dr. Jim. Star maps and catalogs can indeed be used in reverse, but none of them are perfect. Small errors will grow over time in either direction, which is why we must make corrections to our path along the way.
Since you are traveling so far into space, I suppose you can refine the star catalogs with your measurements as you go. Have you also been able to learn more about the rotation of the Milky Way galaxy?
Yes, the backward rotation of the Milky Way in anti-space allows us to travel much faster than the speed of light when we return to our ship in normal space. As we practice this technique, we learn many more clues about the behavior of our galaxy.
It's important to remember that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light, but the universe is so large that things can happen too far apart for light to connect them. I assume that's what Piper means when he says that the space-time ship can travel much faster than light.
That is correct, Dr. Jim. When the alien message was received by the observatory on Mars, it was clear that the radio signal came from long ago and far away. It would not be possible to find the origin of the message without using the concept of anti-space to exceed the speed of light and go back in time.
How clever to use the rotation of the galaxy as a way to travel through space. It's like stepping on a merry-go-round at one time and stepping off later to arrive in a new location. Entering the anti-space version of the Milky Way galaxy is a bit like being on a merry-go-round ride.
It is similar in many ways, but one must be very careful when entering and leaving anti-space by converting the space-time ship into antimatter and back, As you know, it would be very dangerous to allow any matter to come in contact with antimatter.
That could be an explosive combination.
Yes, safety should come first, as always. Now that we understand some of the ideas about navigation among the stars, I'm curious to know more about the alien radio message that started the project to reach another star.
The Mars Museum built an observatory on Mons Olympus with a radio telescope that received the signal. The message repeats itself over and over again, and it appeared to be quite old from the nature of the radio signal.
I know it's possible to determine the age and distance of stars by studying the light that comes from them. But how can you do that for a radio signal? How would it be compared to any others like we do with the stars?
That is a very good question, Dr. Jim. Since the message repeats, we were able to compare one copy of it to the next to find small differences between them. This allowed us to study the radio messages in the same way that we analyze starlight to estimate how far it came to reach us.
Piper is essentially correct, but our ability to travel through time provides additional information that we can use to study the alien radio signal. The farther that we travel through anti-space, the more precise our results will become.
This is a fascinating idea, to use time travel to ride the rotation of the Milky Way galaxy backwards and then reappear at your destination when it just happens to be much closer to your starting point in normal space.
Speaking of galactic rotation, do you know why a galaxy is like a washing machine, Dr. Jim?
No, Piper. Why is the galaxy like a washing machine?
Because they both have a spin cycle. Ha 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 ha.
That does not compute, Piper.
How does he ever come up with these fascinating ideas?
That's a very good question, Conductor Arthur. Before Tommy and Laura could take off in their new space-time ship to find where the alien radio signal came from, they had to fix a potentially dangerous problem right here in our solar system. After Vista discovered an asteroid that could strike the Earth in the future, they had to do something to move it out of harm's way. Here's a song about that. The dinosaurs were living in a world so lush and green. Out in space, a rock was heading toward the Earth unseen. And when it hit the planet, things would never be the same. Life would have to start again from fragments that remain. Who can help the Earth today by moving rocks in space? Maybe kids could fly their ships before it gets too late. Ooh. There were many more asteroids in the early history of the solar system, which we know because of the many craters we can see on the surface of the moon. The asteroid impacts on the moon happened much more frequently back then, although they still happen occasionally today. When Laura found an asteroid would hit the Earth someday, she and Tommy took their ships to find it on the way. They used the pull of Jupiter to help them get there fast. Then they had to slow themselves to keep from going past. Who can help the Earth today by moving rocks in space? Maybe kids could fly their ships before it gets too late. Ooh. One way to speed up a spaceship is to do a slingshot maneuver, also known as a flyby, around a planet like Jupiter or the Earth. By coming very close to the planet in just the right direction, the spaceship can get a big boost without using any rocket fuel. As Tommy steered his rocket to begin a rendezvous. Laura worked on finding just the spot to land there too. They made their preparations to put down some shiny paint. Then the sun would do the work as people had to wait. Who can help the Earth today by moving rocks in space? Maybe kids could fly their ships before it gets too late. Ooh. When sunlight reflects off of an asteroid, it puts a small amount of light pressure on it. By making an asteroid shinier with special paint, more sunlight can be reflected. This can change the orbit of the asteroid over time and move it away from the Earth in the future. As days and months and years went by, the rock began to move, shifting in its orbit with a change so slow and smooth. It never hit the Earth because the kids had done their best. All of human life was spared with all along the rest. Ooh. Who can help the Earth today by moving rocks in space? Maybe kids could fly their ships before it gets too late. And that's how Tommy and Laura saved the Earth from an asteroid. Once again, the people of Earth were very grateful to them.
Dr. von Bodenheimer was pleased to see that Tommy and Laura were able to use the new space-time ship to handle an unexpected problem. This was further proof that they were ready for their journey to the alien star system.
Asteroids in the solar system can be quite dangerous, Dr. Jim. The gravity of the planet Jupiter broke up a comet into many pieces that crashed into its atmosphere, causing many explosions.
That must have caused quite a stir.
Yes, Conductor Arthur, it definitely stirred up the atmosphere of Jupiter. The pieces of the comet that crashed into Jupiter actually exploded high in its atmosphere, since the gas giant planets don't really have any ground.
The change in orbit of the asteroid happened very slowly, but the mission was a success. The Earth would never be in danger from that asteroid again.
What a relief for the people of Earth. I'm sure there was another celebration with more star writing in the night sky.
Tommy and Laura became heroes as well as celebrities, Dr. Jim.
They became stars themselves among the stars.
Well put, Conductor Arthur. After learning to fly, inventing new science, building a space-time ship, and saving the Earth, it must have been time for Tommy and Laura to set off on their journey to the alien star system. Where did they take off from to start their galactic adventure?
The space-time ship was originally constructed in orbit around the planet Mars. The heavy hydrogen fuel for Laura's fusion generator came from Tommy's father's rocket fuel plant on Mars as well.
By assembling the space-time ship in orbit, they could safely test the antimatter conversion process away from any regular matter. After the asteroid mission, the space-time ship was returned to the docking station at Mars to prepare for the long journey to the stars.
That certainly makes sense, and the idea of building a starship in orbit around Mars seems familiar somehow. I'm sure Dr. von Bodenheimer wanted to be there for the launch.
Yes, Dr. Jim, Dr. von Bodenheimer had supported every aspect of the mission since Tommy and Laura were quite young, so he wanted to send them off on their journey to the voices from the sky.
Here's a song about what it would be like to meet an alien civilization after receiving a radio message from them. If we heard a single word far away from space, we might hear loud and clear from another race. Maybe we could learn how to speak to them in turn and locate their home and birthplace. Could it be that we'll see how they like to live? Will we find that they're kind? Could they want to give? Maybe we could build an agreement of goodwill and find that we're all relatives. We'd be first to try learning how to fly all the way out to the voices from the sky. Tommy knew what to do. Laura made a plan. They could draft a mighty craft built to fly and land. It would go so far out to find the voices' star and make a great leap for all men. We'd be first to try learning how to fly all the way out to the voices from the sky. If we were travelers to another star, we would be quick to see on a trip so far. Everything on earth would be doubled in its worth, but home is the place where we are. We'd be first to try learning how to fly all the way out to the voices from the sky. Of course, this is just one of many possible futures. Piper and Vista have been very kind to visit us from their own future to share the story of Tommy and Laura.
Once we arrive at the alien star, we will be very careful to find a safe path through their solar system. We won't know until we get there what their planet will be like.
We will try to establish communication with the aliens based on the musical language we learned from their messages.
That sounds like so much fun. Piper and Vista, I wish you, Tommy, and Laura all the best as you make your final approach to the alien world in your future.
It will truly be a giant leap for all of humanity and perhaps for the aliens too.
What a moment that will be. We've been talking about how Tommy and Laura navigated their new space-time ship backward in time through anti-space to reach the alien star system. But first, they had to save the Earth from a potentially dangerous asteroid.
Incoming time text from Tommy. We are almost at the end of our journey to the alien home world. It has been a pleasure sharing our story with you and conductor Arthur. Tommy, over.
Incoming time text from Laura. We have narrowed down the exact direction of the aliens' radio signal and have finally identified their star system. Laura, over.
It's been very helpful again, Piper and Vista, for you to help us communicate with Tommy and Laura in the future through time texting. Hopefully, we will hear what happens when they finally meet the aliens. Thank you, Conductor Arthur, for being here again as we reach the end of the story. It's been a real pleasure for me to present these science fiction stories about young space explorers of the future. I hope that I may have inspired some of you to be interested in space science or maybe even the guitar. Music is a powerful way to learn things, and it's a great way to organize your thoughts. My best wishes to all of you, and please be kind to one another. I'd like to thank my friends Piper and Vista and conductor Arthur very much for joining me today on Space Quest, and you too. Remember, keep your eye on the sky and keep thinking for yourself.
Bye-bye.